What's up, people? We're back with another midweek video, and today we're gonna be making cinnamon buns. Got a KitchenAid here. Just gonna take that out. This is a recipe that I found online, probably on Pinterest or something, and I tweaked it a little bit, and we love it because we love cinnamon buns. And this is a yeast-free recipe, so it's super easy and quick, and you don't have to wait for anything to rise. You can just scoop, mix, throw in the oven, eat. So we are going to start with 2 cups of flour. I buy the 10 kilogram bags because I don't mess around. Okay. 2 tablespoons of sugar. Get the hook. 4 teaspoons of baking powder. I'm just gonna give this a little mix of the dry ingredients. 1, 2, 3. The baking powder is what's really the only thing that's gonna make it rise, because we're not using yeast. So that's why it calls for so much, if you're wondering. Okay, we got a teaspoon of salt. Don't do a whole teaspoon, I just do a little bit. That's a lot of salt, so yeah, that's probably good. Because the baking powder is salty too,
So it's not a whole teaspoon, it's more like a dash of salt.
like a half teaspoon. Okay. 3 tablespoons of butter.
We are using margarine. Of course, it's fine to use margarine as a replacement.
Well, we're using vegan margarine because we're both lactose intolerant, so it's just better on our stomachs. And this is for the dough. We're making the dough first, if that wasn't clear. Uno. And this margarine's also salty too, so that's also why we don't add all the salt that it says. I don't even think they make low salt margarine, or if they do, I have yet to see it. You could also use avocado oil, I'm sure. Any type of like fat substitute would work here for sure. 3, we'll need the butter again. Plus margarine's soft, so you don't really have to worry about melting it. Okay, gonna mix that a bit. So I have a KitchenAid here. Of course, you can do this by hand, but why not use a KitchenAid? I use the hook because this is a dough. Lock it on. Just scrape off the spatula. Lock it. Mix it. Just to break up the butter a bit.
So the next stuff that goes in is cinnamon. Really, we like cinnamon. It's good if you add it to really anything you bake, to be honest. Cinnamon and vanilla, just to give it a little extra oomph.
We put it in the dough and in the filling to make it extra cinnamony because we like cinnamon, as Justin said.
Now we slowly add the water a little bit over time. So it is 3/4 cup of water. We pre-measured, obviously, and then you just add a little bit, a quarter, let it mix up, and then just once it's absorbed, add the next quarter, let it go, absorb, and then add the final quarter.
And it's best to use cold water when cooking anything and baking as well, especially if you're doing pie. Usually ice water is the best.
And then, of course, you gotta add in the vanilla. So
again, the recipe doesn't call for vanilla in the dough either, but we like the extra flavor that it brings out.
right, you kind of just let it run, really. Just, it's all up to how you feel, so your flavor tastings. We really like vanilla and cinnamon, so we add probably more than the average person would add.
This is artificial vanilla extract, but it still has alcohol in it. So if you don't buy vanilla extract with alcohol and it's probably less strong, so you should add more.
Yeah, if you're like us and don't want to spend $83 on 10 milliliters of real vanilla, just pick up your store artificial brand and it'll do the job for you.
Yeah, especially the alcohol-free is usually way cheaper. Just slowly also mix the dough together and take breaks.
Yeah. Always just make sure to occasionally just fold everything in the bowl in, just to keep all the ingredients getting mixed up.
I like to lock the KitchenAid too when I'm mixing because I don't want it to push up, because the dough, as the dough gets thicker, it will have a little bit of a kick. Now it's starting to get doughy. I'll show you guys what it's starting to look like here.
So that's the last of the water.
Now it's starting to get real thick and doughy. I feel like anything with like cinnamon and sugar is like Christmassy to me, or holiday if you don't celebrate Christmas. Looking good. Oh. This thing is going bananas. All right, I think we are good to go. This is about what it looks like. We're going to roll any of the strays together on the cutting board.
You can just use your hands in here, get the kids involved, and just really just fold it into itself over and over and over and over until it has more of a uniform consistency.
You gotta put flour on the cutting board. When we make these, usually we do them on the marble countertop. So you just put flour on the countertop and roll them out. And of course you can do it on any counter probably, but this is a nice table, so I don't want to ruin it. So we're just gonna use our wood cutting board here. Here you go. Some flour on your hands too, so that the dough doesn't stick to you, although it should be relatively not sticky.
As long as you space out adding the water, it shouldn't ever get too sticky. If you add all the water at once, it really just makes a big mess. Get that out of here. So what I did was I poured all the extra little crumbs and stuff that were left in the bottom into a little divot I made in the bigger ball of dough, so that way I can just fold it onto each other, and that way it just blends everything up and mixes everything in. Slowly but surely it'll start coming together.
And make sure you put flour on your surface so the dough doesn't stick to the surface.
It smells so good. The vanilla and cinnamon just add like an extra layer.
Oh yeah.
It smells so good.
It smells almost like a cookie dough.
Okay, now that this is all rolled up and good, it just has to be rolled out into a thinner sheet, so that way we can add the best part of the cinnamon bun, which is the filling. So while Jules rolls, I'm going to do the filling because that's what I like to do.
Let us know what your favorite part of the cinnamon bun is, or if you like other holiday treats and you don't like cinnamon buns. Be surprised if anyone says.
Okay,
cinnamon.
so for this, I kind of wing it a little bit when it comes to the measurements because I want it to be sweet. So I add a little more brown sugar and a little more white sugar than I probably should, but that's what makes it fun, right? So first off, we gotta go with 4 tablespoons of butter or margarine or whatever your substitute of choice is. That's 1. And for this, you don't have to use a KitchenAid or whatever. This is really easy to do by hand. And it helps too if you soften up the butter beforehand. So if you're using like real butter, that stays pretty solidified. So I honestly heat up your 4 tablespoons before you started mixing it with everything else. Margarine stays pretty soft, so it's easy to work with right out of the fridge.
Or they make spreadable butter, which of course you can use.
We need 1 cup of brown sugar, and I'll add a few more pinches after that, just because brown sugar might be one of my favorite things on the planet. And make sure you pack your brown sugar. I'm not sure why. I think brown sugar is considered a wet ingredient for some odd reason, but
because there's molasses in it. So brown sugar is just white sugar with molasses in it, which is what makes it brown.
Let me get this bowl out of the way so you can see. Yeah, so I'm just kind of using my fingers to pack it down. This will make about like 14 decent sized rolls at least, depending on how you cut it. Back to the bowl. Here's my 1 cup of brown sugar. Because we have a little bag, I'm just gonna dump it and add a little bit more. The brown sugar is really what comes through in this because there is so much of it. Now we need to add cinnamon. Again, with the cinnamon, just kind of let it go, to be honest. If you like cinnamon, we like cinnamon, so I'm just gonna kind of let it go here. But the recipe calls for 4 teaspoons of cinnamon. And I'm gonna add a little bit of vanilla because vanilla. This is real easy just to mix up and it'll slowly like turn into a paste. I've been mixing for maybe 20 seconds and it's already all mixed up. Make sure you spread this very liberally across your dough.
I've been rolling this out pretty as thin as I can possibly get it because the dough will rise and will grow in the oven as it's cooking. I'm just gonna roll it out a little bit more to make sure it's relatively even. It doesn't have to be perfect. It's pretty big, bigger than my head.
Make sure you preheat your oven to 400 degrees before starting all this. That way, as soon as you're done, you can just plop everything right in the oven and bake it.
Plop.
So here is our nice, beautiful dough. And then I am just going to bring all the filling out.
It looks like caramel, kind of.
Right here into the middle, and then we'll just spread it across everything. So, of course, this is a little bit of a messy process. Don't worry about it. This is just a fun thing you can give the kids to do while you're rolling the dough, or if you have multiple kids, give everybody a task. Now, what we do is because we like more and we like them smaller so we have more, we roll it like long ways. Yeah, it just gives us more. It makes it longer so we can get more out of it. And then also, if you don't like a lot of filling, feel free to cut our filling recipe in half. So to make it easier to cut, I'm just gonna cut it right in half. Use a relatively sharp knife to get rid of the
You can just use a regular baking pan. We like to use a pan with edges instead of a cookie sheet because the extra filling will sit in the bottom as it cooks. I didn't butter this, you don't really need to.
We cut ours at about 1/2 inch.
To give you an idea, this is about how thick we make them.
May not look perfect like a store-bought one,
Well, it's not gonna,
but it'll taste much better in my opinion.
as you can see, they're not that small and they're going to rise.
All this is all over my hands, but I don't care. So we also, for frosting, we like to bake, so we've made cakes and stuff before. So we have a homemade buttercream icing that we made. So we will put that recipe in the description if you guys want to use that. If we do have leftover icing like this, I personally will mix it with the buttercream. So it's kind of like a vanilla, cinnamon, just whole goodness icing. That's absolutely amazing. It's gonna taste great. Now, we are going to slap this stuff in the oven and we'll catch you guys on the other side.
So those are gonna go in for about 13 minutes. And if you like them more crispy, then maybe a little bit longer, but we'll show you what they look like when they get out.
I'll give you guys the first look inside.
All right, so the cinnamon buns are done. We got them all right here. I told you they would grow.
Now I'm really excited to eat these.
And we have our buttercream.
And then we have the leftover filling here. And I am going to be the first of us to try one of these here. So I'm gonna go with this one right here. So there we go, a little bit of the extra filling, a little bit of icing. So here we go, it looks delicious.
It's probably hot, so.
This is so good. This is fantastic. So they came out perfect in 13 minutes. Didn't need to add any extra time. This is so good. It's gonna taste fantastic at the end, but make sure you make it with TLC because that's what makes it special.
Do you want to see us do another recipe type video? We wanted to switch it up a bit because challenges are expensive.
For the food challenges, give us some suggestions because we're running out of things to do. We have a few that we could do, but if there's something, that you guys want to see, please let us know so we can make this experience much better for you guys as well.
All right, well, thanks for watching, and subscribe if you want to see the videos as they come out. Slap that like button if you liked what you saw. Leave comments below if you have anything you'd like to add.
Peace!
Tune in next week.